Heidi started out her career with two crucible moments. First one is her family split apart. Second one is when her fiance died. It was at this point that she went from being a selfless giver, in my opinion, to an otherish giver. She realized that she had to put her needs along with everyone else's at the forefront. Later on, she was able to have a friend who was in business at Tandem who helped her get her foot in the door. Even though she had a creative writing background, she was able to utilize that in the technology industry. She also held meetings with the CEO, who was able to have conversations with her because he knew what a great networker she was. She networked with her brother to form a company, and she was able to talk to the press and talk to reporters and went to industry conferences and events, thus diversifying her network. She was consistent and likable and had a lot of common ground with those around her. She joined technology-oriented groups and was on panels and gave interviews. She was really good at giving people her undivided attention. She also joined the SPA and later became the president. There were major causes for them to stand for, so she had the authority to gain entrance to these boards and to give her advice based on her expertise. They were also working towards a common goal, so there was a lot of common ground there. She had the opportunity to design new new software network with her brother. They had the cutting edge product at that time, so she was able to utilize scarcity so that they would have the edge on the market. At that point, she had a really good reputation and she had a very profitable business, but she needed a venture capitalist funding, so she obtained that, which gave her even more of a network. Later, she went to Apple. And when she went to Apple, they were having a difficult time. She was able to call on her dormant ties to network with them and ask them to back this product, even though there were some issues. This was a real true test of her network at this point. She also had celebrity-like status, though, so that helped. She harnessed the benefits while minimizing costs to those around her. She gave them a good solid plan of what they could look forward to in the company and really appreciated that they were willing to go on a limb for her. This was very true of an otherish giver as well. She was consistent with her interactions, her business practices, and she performed her role very well, and she continued to expand her network. She had to maintain confidentiality and neutrality with various business decisions, and she helped mend a relationship that had formerly been bitter for Apple. The demands of her time became overwhelming with Apple because her influence and power, I think, really made her well sought after. So she realized this as an otherish giver. She realized that at this point, she has this reciprocity style that she wasn't going to give selflessly. It needed to be a win-win situation. So she realized her environment was no longer as good for her as she wanted it to be. So she became a mentor capitalist. Her experience and network and her time and her commitment to those around her and her individual attention made her well sought after. So she recruited other people and other colleagues, brought people together for new opportunities, and first-rate employees with first-rate employers. This also increased her power as a networker. She was also a genius maker, I think, because she made sure that the CEOs that she was contacting were going to be the best fit with these employees that she knew. Some were former colleagues, some were new friends that she met. She gave these people her time, and she was discreet in how she did it. As a mentor capitalist, she also had the opportunity to hold parties at her home for which she would make home-cooked meals. At this time, I felt that she really didn't compartmentalize who she was. She was the same person at work as she was at home, looking for ways to blend the two. For example, she would have these parties where she would make spaghetti and meatballs or something ordinary. She would bring people who were familiar with other people, and they would come together. They were friends. They were also business acquaintances and part of her expanding network. And she would give them the opportunity to meet and greet and have new opportunities in a business way. Her core values are fairness, equality, and reciprocity. I think that's how she's built such a powerful network, being a giver, being otherish in her way of giving, and blending her personal and her professional relationships. At some point, She did realize that she missed being a venture capitalist, and I think it's because she wanted to be on a team. She didn't want to be typecast, and she also was missing substantial capital. So she decided to go back into that, and she would have social events. She was considered an industry leader. It was at this point that I think she went to work for SoftBank. Um, but as an industry leader, it was her experience and her reputation to maintain her authority and her results that were out there for everyone to see that created a beneficial symbiotic relationship with those people in her network whom she chooses to connect. This also was a ripple effect. She was able to build these networks and utilize them whenever she needed. This was the constellation effect. She had a lot of effects. The constellation effects, where she would become overwhelmed or needed additional help, she would tap into other networks to their basically their center point person, and she would be able to utilize those networks without keeping such a close tie, as her time is limited. She also realized that she was hosting too many parties and that she was doing too much, so she kind of backed off on that. And what's great is she has this introspection that she can realize when her environment is no longer suitable for all parties, and she's willing to change it. Her She pays it forward in the sense that she finds new opportunities for people and new ways to network. She, helps grow companies and and people's livelihoods, including her own. She has a powerful networking capability, influential behavior, and I feel that it is because of her otherish giver personality that she holds so much power and influence within her network.